Hey, what's happening, guys? Welcome to another episode. Sit down and shut up. I'm Juzzy. Today, we are going to be working with Flayne. They are a 1300 MR, fresh into Masters, Kim. They feel like their defense is incredibly weak right now. They also feel lost and neutral at the moment. They find themselves pushing the same button into drive rush, hoping for the best. So let's get them on the stream. Give me a sec here to make sure I get the right Discord thing here. Hey, Flayne, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I think so. Let me just turn you up a little bit here. All right, cool.
Yeah, I have that a lot.
All right, cool. So thanks for joining, I guess. Worked out tonight for you to run the game, huh?
Yeah, no,
Cool,
I'm
cool, cool.
excited to get in here and get my ass kicked a little bit and learn some stuff.
All right, cool. So I was just reading on stream basically what you wrote in the thread. I feel like your defense is a little bit weak. You also feel a little lost in neutral, right?
Yeah, my neutral game's improving a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to get and like test out more theories for my range for a lot of my normals and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that's improved a little bit. And
Okay.
I've been defense is still a little questionable at times,
Mm-hmm.
and I know I need better combo game, but that's stuff that I know I just need to go in and lab out.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. So let me invite you to the custom room here.
Okay.
So are you going to be running Kim or Manon today?
Yeah, yeah,
Kim?
yeah.
Okay.
I've kind of dropped Manon for the most part.
Okay. Okay. Right on.
I've been having a lot of fun with Kim, so
Okay. Gotcha. All right. Cool. So yeah. All right. So for the edification of the stream and to let everyone know, basically what we're gonna do is we'll run a first of three, and I'm gonna deafen during that first of three so that I don't impact anything you're doing, anything like that. I tend to talk a lot during these while I'm playing against you. So we'll do the first of three, and then we'll do a replay review after that. So we'll take one or two of the games, do a replay review, which will cover some of the situations I think would be helpful for some of the things you think you're struggling with at the moment. We'll do some lab work after if there are some situations that maybe we need to dive into potentially. And then if there's time after, we'll run another first of three. Sound reasonable?
sounds good to me.
All right, cool. So see you queued up there. Just give me 1 second. I need to find a
Yeah, yeah.
notepad. All right, Juzzy chair stream. All right, cool. So yeah, we'll run the first three. Just to let you know, I may not rematch like right away as I kind of
Yeah,
write stuff
yeah.
down and do all that. So don't worry, we'll run the first three. So if I don't rematch away, don't worry about it. All right, so I'm gonna def it in Discord.
When I
So
heard you grabbing a notepad, it's like, okay, yeah, these are gonna be.
what's that?
I said when I heard that you were grabbing a notepad, I was like, okay, yeah, these are probably gonna be slower rematches than
In between, I
just
try
like
not
taking
to make you wait too long, but yeah. All right,
It's
cool.
fine.
All right, I'm gonna def it in Discord. Good luck.
Okay, good luck.
Hey, Halo, what's good? Hope you're enjoying your Friday night. Oh, Flash, thanks for the raid, my dude. Cool. So, played Flayne a couple of times. They're pretty good actually for what they've been saying they're at. Yeah, thanks for the raid, Flash. Uh-oh. That's not good. Oh man. All right. What's happening here? Okay, hopefully that fixed it. All right, cool. Oh, missed it. Ooh. That was nice. Nice. Yeah, the elbow was there. I was gonna die there, right? Didn't have a choice. All right. That's nice. Oh, it's a level 3. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, right? Use some bar. Kim needs a level 3. Makes sense. Overhead. Oh, that's nice. That was pretty good. So that overhead was definitely a good choice there. So it's pretty good. Good check. Ooh. Oh, I should have waited for a second to bait the reversal. Darn. That's okay. Ooh. I could have won right there. Okay, so my thought right now is that they have a hard time dealing with Ken drive rush pressure. So if I'm applying meaties or I'm making them make decisions and defense, they seem to have a little bit of a problem with that. Well, they don't tech at all, which is good, I guess. Oh, now this, as I say that. Alright, try to press something, maybe? Oh, now they're teching. That's a tough situation to defend, I think. But yeah, the overhead stuff is actually reactable for the most part. The issue there is they're burned out, I think. Oh, backdash. Oh, they teched. Darn. Built it right there. So, something that I'm noticing also is that they, it's pretty common, I think, is that they're kind of backing up after like block screens and stuff. So if I do what I always do, which is like a delay, like a delayed crouching medium kick or delayed light, like low, it seems to be clipping them. So I think what's happening now is they're trying to defend like what I'm doing, but because I'm changing what I'm doing, they're having a hard time adapting again. So we'll see what's going on here. Oh shit, baited. Yeah. Baiting the super there. It's kind of tough how not to super there because they've lost how many interactions so far. Oh, nice perfect parry. Oh. The antis are good. Oh, my jump didn't come out. Oh, that's unfortunate. So yeah, I think when we were kind of playing neutral, like I wasn't really applying as much pressure on knockdowns and stuff. It was okay, but then once I started applying more pressure, it kind of fell apart there. So let's bring them back on and talk to him. Hey, Flayne. So, how do you think that went?
I felt a lot better after the first game than the other ones.
Okay, yeah, you definitely took the first game like 100%. That was a pretty good application of some of the high-low mixes. But yeah, it looked like you were having some trouble with drive rush pressure, right? So once I
Yeah,
started applying that, making you make decisions on defense, it started kind of getting tougher to win, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
It's I'm really like the corner game, especially, and especially against Ken. I feel like it's one of my weaker matchups.
Mm-hmm. And it's
Like I
tough
get
for Kim
him
too
putting me in
because
the
she doesn't really have a
corners.
invincible reversal either, right? You have to level one,
Yep.
yeah, or level
I
three, I
have to
guess.
rely on my
Yeah.
like drive reversals or my supers
Mm-hmm.
and
Cool. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stream in Discord. One sec here, and then we'll take a look at one of the replays here.
I just got thrown to oblivion.
Yeah, that'll happen. And really, that was an adjustment on my part because you weren't teching at all, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
I teched so much when I was like leveling up to master,
hmm
and there were so many games that I would just get blown up because I tech. So I'm trying to reduce the amount that I do,
yeah, and I thought you did
and
an okay job for
it's
the most part. It's just that when I started shimmying, you still kind of teching, right? So
yeah.
yeah,
Well, at that point, I was conditioned.
yeah, yeah. That
Like I'm
tends to
not gonna get
happen
thrown
too.
again.
Yeah, that tends to happen too. So let's take a look at a couple of these replays. Now I don't play Kim, so I'll let you know now that I may not know all of the optimal routes out of some of the
Yeah,
situations, but we
yeah.
can take a look at the neutral situations and the defensive situations and see if we can talk through what was happening
I
there. So
have a huge Google Doc essentially of Kim combos that I'm
okay,
slowly working my way through.
then you'll be good there,
'Cause I know
right?
I'm still pretty stuck on like
Yeah,
2 to 3 combos at this point.
gotcha. Oh, yeah. Let me know if you can see my screen, and then we
Yep.
can get it. Cool. All right, so this was game two. So you won the first game pretty handedly, I think. There were a couple of the offensive decisions you were making that were really good. So we can review that if you want, but I think this will be probably a little more interesting for you to
It'll
see.
be better to yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so this is good. I was trying to see what you would do if I opened with like an aggressive option, and you were able to check that
Mm,
pretty well. So that was good. A little drop
I
there, no big
dropped my
deal.
combo, yeah.
What happened there? How'd you get hit?
I'm holding. I think I'm trying to check with crouching light. Was my idea?
Okay, there's that. There's the drive rush. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
trying to check it.
It's difficult to press a button here after this right here. So the drive rush goes off. And if you look, you're still in recovery here. There's like a frame, right? Where you are able to input
Mm,
something here before you get hit, right? At least from that range with this button in particular. So what that means is that if you were going to try to challenge, well, with Kim anyway, but in general, I guess, if you're going to try to challenge this, you'd have to do it with some sort of reversal option.
yeah.
Right? Like maybe you'd be able to derev here. I'm not sure, but you would have to use a level 1 or some sort of invincible reversal to get through this, right? Because the gap here is too small, right? For at least with this drive rush, that button, that range into crouching medium punch from Ken, it's the gap is too small, right? So, Yeah. So yeah, in the future, if you are gonna do this, check. You should probably have some meter or some way to reversal from there.
Got it.
Okay, good tech. All right. So I think this was something you had a really hard time dealing with. Was this sort of, I don't want to call it a tick throw necessarily, but like jab into throw, right?
Yeah, tick those eat me up
Yeah, and
so
it's difficult
much.
to defend, right? Because you know, you have to respect what happens after this, right? Because even
Hmm.
though the string isn't real necessarily, if I chain lights there, you will get frame trapped, right? So
Right, yeah. I
yeah,
knew that you were plus or at least like trappable through that, so I
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
push directly after it, but
Yeah, if I chain the light here, it'll frame trap your button. But if I don't, I'm actually -1. So, like from here, after this situation here, you could do a second delay tech, right? Or you can try to challenge with a
mhm,
jab potentially, or take the throw, right? Like taking the throw here is actually totally okay mid screen. You have a lot of life, all that stuff, totally fine. But I noticed that you had a hard time defending this option in particular, right? So,
mhm.
we'll go through the rest of the replay and we'll see where that ends up. But yeah, right. Okay, good parry, and then take the throw again, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. So just remember here, I'll mention this, is that after that, right, that forward dash after a forward throw from
Hmm.
Ken, Ken's actually only +1 here. So what that means is that if I try to throw you immediately, you can mash out of that, right? So you can force a guess out of me. Most of the time, though, I'm going to go for a jab, and that's actually going to be safe to your 4 frame, right? It'll frame trap you. So
Right.
So yeah, that's something to keep in mind. As we went through the set, like what'll usually end up happening is that same situation. I'll do a dash up, and then I might just throw you immediately instead, right? To kind of throw off what you're doing, right? If you see a Ken that starts doing that, where they dash up and throw, you can mash out of that basically. So it's tough because again, it's a +1 situation, so it's not exactly real, but you still have to guess, right? You still have to
Hmm.
make a decision on defense. Now you block here, which I think is fine, right? You actually tried to jab me, it looks like here on the way out, and it didn't come out,
I
right?
think I was.
Yeah,
No, I wasn't tech throwing yet.
looks like you delay jab maybe. Let's see.
Hmm.
So right, so there's my jab, and then your jab comes out here. So this is actually
Hmm.
fine, I think, as an option if you want to try to delay jab what I'm doing here, because that will stop if I walk up or do something else, like some other option, I guess. But what gets you here is that you don't do another option after that, right? So like what most people will do, or not most people, but what you can do is you can delay tech and continue delay teching after this, right? You can go for a tech right here as well, right? It's a defensive option that can get blown up, but you know if you're forcing yourself to guess here, that might not be a bad way to go because it would have worked, right? Like if you delay teched here, I would
Hmm.
have got you would have teched right the throw. But yeah, I guess we'll continue talking about it. It's difficult on defense to defend, I guess is the point I'm trying to make. So okay, keep going through. Stay another throw. Right, and then I back off here because I'm expecting you to attack, and you don't, which is good, right? So my pressure
Hmm.
kind of ends. But since you're kind of passive at that point, I end up throwing kind of a big button at you, right?
Yeah, I'm. And this is where I need to like play around with Kim's range a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like especially none of her crouching buttons really go all that far.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like
Mm-hmm.
so I have a hard time like knowing exactly where or what button I should be trying to throw out. Like
Mm-hmm.
once you back off to at least try to get some sort of pressure going.
Yeah, yeah. So let me just double check something on Kim real quick. But I believe you could do something like a crouching medium kick, right?
Yeah, her crouching medium kick is 7 frames.
Yeah, one sec. Let me see here.
It just doesn't lead into much offense
Yeah,
for me.
you can't drive rush after it, right?
Doesn't cancel, yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So I'm not exactly sure on what you would do there. You could sweep, I guess. You wake up sweep would be an option. You could do the crouching medium kick there, just because you would hit me and it would be +5. I'm not sure if there's a confirm you can get out of that.
It's really awkward
Okay.
because the only thing that it really links into is standing light kick
Hmm.
into light vagabond.
I see.
So
And that range it might be a little awkward, right?
Right, yeah,
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's like I'm not sure the range that the
gotcha.
standing light kick would hit.
Okay, so and I guess you'll have to lab that because again, I don't
Mm,
like him, I'm not sure. But what I will say defensively is that if you think I'm gonna back off here, you could have went for a wake up button, right? So, let me see if I can get this to show up here.
sure, yeah.
Yeah, so right here, right
Like a moment
after
to
you
do like
block,
really. Hmm.
if you make a read, basically you're guessing that I'm gonna back off or shimmy you, right? So if you thought that, as soon as this ends, you could have pressed it right here, right? You could have pressed your crouching medium kick here, and I think at this range, it's probably close enough where you can confirm that into like a some sort of hit confirm, right? It seems like. Again, I'm not a Kim player, so I'm not 100% sure. But from a defensive standpoint, you could have woke up with a button here at this point, right? Because think about it, right? If I go for another throw again, your button may get counter hit, right? But it would be the same situation as before where you tried to press the button and didn't come out either, right? The difference here is that you're gambling. You have a chance now if I make a different decision that you're going to be able to get out or at least stop my pressure from coming in, if that makes sense, right?
Hmm.
Basically on defense you're trying to cover a couple of options if you can when you wake up, right? That's why delay tech is so strong. Well, it can be strong because you're covering multiple options. And in this case, if you were to do some sort of crouching medium kick, let's switch to wake up button, you'd be covering a couple options from me, right? Like you try to shimmy you, right? Or if I go for like a delayed button, right, on my end, it would hit me out of that potentially. So you have some offensive options you're covering by pressing that button on wake up, right? So unfortunately, I wish I had a better answer for you in terms of what specifically to do. But you can lab out some of Kim's responses from this
Hmm.
situation, right? So you can take this this replay even, or even set Ken to do this. Get you not throw you forward dash, do a jab, and then back off, and then you can kind of lab out what appropriate punishes you can have for shimmy, right? Because I'm sure Kim has some sort of low option that you can do that will give you some sort of reward, right? It doesn't have to be
I've got to, yeah.
yeah.
If I can get better at doing her crouching medium kick into standing light kick,
Mm-hmm.
light vagabond pressure, like that at least like that leaves me right next to you
Mm-hmm.
for my choice of like
Yeah, you'd be. I think
strike
you're.
throw.
Yeah, you'd be plus after that, right? After the oops. Let me see.
Yeah, I should be.
Yeah. Da-da-da-da. Where is it? I want to. Yeah, into light, right? So on hit, you would
Mhm.
be +3 into +5, I guess. So I mean, you'd have your mix up at that point, right? When you land that.
Right.
So
Mhm.
something to consider as you're labbing this stuff out. One of the defensive options is how do you beat shimmy, right? Because it's a very very common offensive option that's selected by a lot of people, right? They're trying to open you up, get you to delay
Mhm.
tech. So you do need a way to defend that option, basically. All right, so what happened there? I think I just get you with a delay button, like a delay crouch medium kick here. So let's see.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm trying to press medium.
Yeah, maybe crouch medium kick or something. So
Crouching
I
medium kick is what I
crouch.
inputted, but
Right
mm,
there. Yeah. So
yep.
you went for a button here, right? And I just happened to my rhythm, I guess, if you will, happen to disrupt yours. I press before you do, and then get counter hit, right? So this is a common situation also where both players are kind of like me as the offensive player here. Obviously, right? I landed a button. It's blocked, right? So I'm minus. My
Hmm.
turn is technically over, right? It's difficult for Ken to continue anything here without drive rush, right? So after the pushback, right? We both kind of stop for a second, right? And then I delay a few frames and then just press, right? I'm just assuming that you're going to try to press something or potentially jump or do something else. But I'm trying to
Hmm.
get a sense of when you want to do those things, if that makes sense, right? So, like, how long after you block something does Flayne decide to push a button or do something else, right? So that's what I was fishing for a hit there and ended up landing it, right? But that's the decision making that's going on my side for that. So hopefully that'll help you when you try to go through the defensive options here. Basically, like you have to pay attention to how the offensive player is layering their offense to try to figure out how you can counter it, basically, right? So in this particular situation, if you had preempted me and pressed the button earlier, it actually would have beaten me, right? But you'd have to have known that I'm gonna wait a little bit on my end, right? So Something that you'll have to, a game sense, if you will, that you have to develop. I dropped the combo. Good jump. That's an unfortunate throw.
Yeah.
Okay, good D-Rev. And then I get you with the DP here, right?
Yeah.
So that was just me
just trying to get better with. I haven't used it a whole lot yet, so
step
I'm just
kick
trying to add it to my arsenal.
Yeah.
Step kick into anything since I have like 3 different options there.
Yeah. And I guessed, right? I guess you're gonna do the one that loses the DP, basically. So I just went for it, right? I had a ton of life in this situation.
3 options lose to DP there, so
yeah. So again, I had a ton of life, right? So even if I was wrong, I
Right.
lose one neutral interaction, right? And then maybe you go into some big damage, or at least push me to the corner. But I can try to defend the next mix-up, right? So gets checked. Let's see what happened there. You tried a jab, I think.
I think I did, yeah. That's a bad habit I've kind of developed a little bit. Is
Wake up jab.
jabbing on wake up, yeah. I'm trying to learn a little bit more, like, with what characters I can kind of get away with that with. And, like, what players I can kind of get away with that with.
Yeah.
Because I do think I have that habit of being just that little bit too passive.
Yeah. So, wake up buttons is tough to try to use as like your default option in defense, right? Because a lot of times people's offenses are really, really tight, especially in like master, like where you're at right now. Even in like diamond, I think even high platinum, to be honest, most people have pretty airtight offenses, right? They're running offenses where they are doing setups. Their buttons are real, so it's always a meaty. So if you try to jab, you'll get hit, right? Wake up buttons really should be a response to some specific option that the offensive player is doing, right? So if someone knocks you down and you've noticed that they always go for some sort of delayed pressure or like a shimmy or something like that where they don't meet you, then a wake up button could make a lot of sense there, right? Because they're like walking forward and they're trying to get you to tech or do something else, and then they walk back and then you clip them as they walk back, right? Something like that. So I think the default option should be to just block, right?
Yeah.
And you can see here, actually, I don't have a setup here, right? So what I actually do is I walk up and I manually time this jab on your wake up, right? So I'm trying to manually time it to be meaty so it'll beat specifically an option like that, right? So if you don't see a setup like that and they're coming in, then something like that could be again, you want to block there in that situation, right? Unless again you've seen or making a read on an option that I'm doing on offense, right? So all right, get back into it. I know CFN has been not great lately.
It's been wonky this week.
Right? So, all right, let's get into the game 2, I think. Round 2. Right, so here I hit you and then I go for a throw, right? And the reason I did this wasn't because I saw the counter hit. I actually had committed to doing a tick throw here. I didn't actually react to the counter hit. I just was like, I'm gonna jab and then throw. Because if I was a better player, I could have reacted to the counter hit, jab, and then into like a bigger damage combo here. But I had already committed to the throw here, right? So just to let you know, that's what happened, right? It wasn't like some crazy counter hit confirm off a jab. It was actually the offensive player committing to an option. And again, the reason I also bring that up is because on offense as well, I think players should just be committing to an option and letting the chips fall where they may, right? Like I've committed already to this jab, and whether or not it hits or not, I'm going to go for a throw after that, right? So that's what's happening on offense, right? So defending this is really a matter of getting a read on what I'm doing after the jab, right? So I'd been tick throwing you a lot, and I think you make an adaptation here at some point where you start teching the throw.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe not there.
No, it wasn't until later matches.
Yeah. And then here I think you just missed the delay tech. It looks like you might have just gotten hit, and then I don't confirm it on the 2-hit confirm, but it looks like you might have delayed tech and it might have been a little early. So I think that was a fine response in that situation because delay tech would have gotten you out of it, right? Out of the pressure anyway. You wouldn't have gotten hit. So, okay, dealing with generic pressure. Elbow drop didn't go off.
Yeah, I've been having issues with elbow drop.
Mm-hmm. So here...
Since they changed it, I think I've been getting my air throw instead.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. That was nice. That was also good. And good. So that sequence there, you defended that very well, actually, right? So even though you take the throw here, you're able to get the elbow drop and then go into a throw, and I make the wrong decision to parry, and now you have the corner position, right? So let's see how you maintain it here. Oh, you get checked on the overhead. On the EX flip or whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's unfortunate. That would work most of the time. I tend to jab there right after the target combo, so it just worked out for me.
It's good, yeah. I mean, that's fake pressure after that one specifically, so...
Yeah. So, and that's more of a knowledge check part, and that probably will work on a lot of players, right? So, you know, going forward is not a big, you know, I have no issue with you going for that there. Okay. And then I do it again.
Yep.
Right, target combo. Yeah, so that's something I think I'll mention here is that if the fake strings aren't, like, don't start with the fake strings, I guess is what I'm going to say. I know that Kim has real pressure in those situations that doesn't stem from the target combo. So you should probably consider doing those first. Get me to block or not press more. And then once I'm no longer pressing buttons, then you can go for that other stuff, right? So you have to kind of layer that in. If you go for it right away...
I'm really working on with Kim is getting the run stop stuff.
Mm-hmm,
So if I can get that down more, then I can like defend against your checking it basically.
Yeah, because he has real pressure on some of those runs, right? Especially after drive rush. Like you drive rush into run stop, I think it's plus enough, right? So yeah. Okay. So, but that round though, I think where I was beating you a lot was basically you would lose a neutral interaction and Ken puts you in the corner because Ken's corner carry is absurd. And then you had to defend, you know, 3 or 4 mix-ups. And then eventually you kind of ran out of life as you're trying to defend, right? So, what I saw through that though, I didn't think I saw one reversal or, you know, super or anything like that to try to get out of the corner. One D-rev, I think.
Once, yeah.
Yeah. So
I feel like I wake up super too much, so I'm trying to.
I know it's funny because like, you know, and you've been in Newbie Fight Club, so you probably know this. Is that we always tell people don't reversal, right, on wake up, but just block. But as you get higher up, there becomes a point where you have to reversal, right? And I think that that's just game sense you'll have to develop. But ideally, what you want to do is reversal, you know, a couple of times during the game, during the set at least, right? And the reason for that is because you have to represent that you're willing to reversal, right? So in this first game, when we played through it, I actually was not worried about you reversaling at all, right? Because you hadn't shown it in the first game, you hadn't really decided to use that option from Kim at all, so I wasn't really thinking about it in this game. So you can see how my pressure was structured around you not reversing, right? So a lot of, you know, meaty jabs into throw, a couple of setups here, meaty setups here and there, right, to force you to not press buttons anymore. But those things do lose to reversal. So you do have to choose that option once in a while, right?
Right, yeah.
Because then when you think about it the other way, right, like Ken in particular, it's funny, but Ken players have a reputation of EXDPing at any time, anywhere, right? Any situation, right? You could be neutral EXDP, right? So that knowledge, right, or that kind of reputation, if you will, gets really taken advantage of by Ken players, right? Because you saw I didn't really reversal at all or EXDP you at all until the very end when I was trying to reversal you through your approach, right? But if the thought in your head is, oh, this Ken player is going to EXDP, and you never go for additional pressure, you're kind of allowing the Ken to stand back up into neutral for free, right? And then you're kind of giving up your advantage, if you will. So something to consider, right?
I tried in this game keeping you honest.
This one, yeah, I
For
think so.
the most
The
part.
you reversaled a couple of times, so let's take a look. I think we'll find out.
Well, as far as the like, I didn't just give up my turn. Like I
Mm-hmm.
tried to keep up pressure whenever I had offensive stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Oh, nice bait.
Then I didn't actually get my combo that I wanted to.
Yeah,
There.
but it went through anyway because I pressed, right?
Yeah, that's a frame trap now.
Yeah. Oh, missed the meaty
Missed
there.
the timing, yeah.
Okay, and then this one is actually real, a real tick throw. Right, so I'm actually plus here, +4, point blank. So this one you have to delay tech or you have to guess here, right? Because this is real now.
Mm-hmm.
So if you try to jab or anything else, it would get thrown, right? So take throw is okay, I guess. Here it's not the worst option. You have health and all that, but it is a back throw from Ken, so now you're in the corner, right?
Yep.
Luckily, Ken doesn't get Oki from this situation anymore without Drive Rush, so, and my meter is a little bit low here, right? So I think I just walk up, right? Try to keep it at this range. So what I'll mention here is that the range that we've been playing at this round, right? You see how much space there is here, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of intentionally keeping you at that space because I got a sense that your neutral sense with Kim isn't I don't want to say quite there yet, but you feel uncomfortable in some situations trying to win neutral interactions, right? So what I'm expecting here actually is slides, teleports, and jumps, right?
And I'm trying to get away from doing the
Yeah,
slides, especially.
yeah. So that's
Those
why I'm
the
standing at
big
the space I'm
slides.
standing at here, right? Is that I'm expecting that to happen. So as you walk forward, you see I'm kind of maintaining that space. So and then you jump, right? I mean, it bait me,
Mm-hmm.
and this works beautifully, by the way. But if a player you're playing against is giving you this much space, you should just walk forward and take it up, right? Because look, if you look at what happens here, we don't interact with each other at all, right? So this is round start, right? And you can see that we've moved like a quarter screen closer to the corner without anything you've done, right? You didn't do anything yet. Until this jump, obviously, but you can see I'm giving you the space I'm giving up the space, if you will, to maintain this distance so that I can react to stuff, right? So if you're trying to get better at neutral, which is one of the things I think you mentioned is that, how do you approach a neutral game, if you will? One of the things that you want to pay attention to in neutral is how your opponent reacts when you walk forward, when you walk back, when you jump, right? As you do things, what does your opponent do, right? So if I was, on the other end of this and seeing my opponent back up, I would just continue walking forward, right? Obviously not like, charge forward at them, but you would walk forward to see what kind of space they're trying to maintain, right? So again, if you look, like I'm trying to maintain this longer space outside of both of our normals because I'm expecting you to do something to skip neutral here, right? Teleport slide. Because you had slid on me slid on me a couple of times, right? Teleported, I think, once, maybe twice, right? Yeah, elbow drops and stuff like that, right? So you've shown that you can you're willing to do those options, which is again totally fine. But if you notice how I'm playing you in this round, right? All those things are going to be able to get checked at you at this space, right? Even with me, old man reactions, right? Like if I have space to react to it, right? I'll be able. I'll have a chance at least, right? Like I'll be able to DP something. And in fact, I even react to the jump, right? It's just I got baited, right? So again, perfect use of that, right? And you were able to knock me out or knock me down and send me to the corner. But again, in neutral, if you're trying to play that more grounded footsies approach, if you will, the space between the characters becomes very important, right? And watching how your opponent reacts to you getting into their space is paramount to how you're going to counter what they're trying to do, basically. So, okay, so this was again perfect application of that. Knock me down. All right, good throw. All right, so what do you do from here, right? Unfortunately, it whiffs, right? So I'm not sure if there is a forward throw setup from Kim here.
It's there are some things
Okay.
I'm working on getting
Sure.
better rookie pressure.
Okay. And it's totally fine, right? I mean, I'm not expecting you to know everything, right? But that is something you'll have to consider. Is that
I think I hit you game one with the overhead immediately.
a bunch? Yeah, I didn't react to overhead at all. I died to it actually in the first game. So it is something again. Kim setups, the way Kim, at least that I've seen played at like higher levels or whatever, is that the pressure is kind of relentless, right? Like you have high low mix ups, you have strike throw mix ups, you have like DIs and stuff happening, right, in situations where there's gaps and all that. So that's like one of the things that Kim is good at, and I think you'll get there, right? I think you understand how to apply pressure and how Oki works. It's just a matter of getting the reps in the lab, right? So. So I jab out of this, right? Drive rush, and I think I throw probably here, right? Oh, yep. Okay.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. So again, that was a real throw situation, a real tick throw situation, right? +4. I'm +4, right? So you have to guess. Taking the throw again, okay. Back throw puts you in the corner, unfortunately, but that's what it is. And then again, I'm maintaining the space here to try to keep you uncomfortable. But the main difference now is that you can't really back up anymore. So if I walk forward, you're gonna have to react somehow, right? So let's see if I do that or not. I don't remember. So let's see what happens here. There's the slide I don't react to, right? So, but we can see why. You can see how that forced that action from you, though, right? Like if I was paying closer attention, or if I was sliding a little bit further away, that slide either whiffs, or I'm able to stuff it or something to that effect, right? But the space I'm playing at elicits that reaction from you, if that makes sense, right? Like all of a sudden, I can't press Kim's stand medium kick, right, or whatever, stand heavy punch, right? Those two really good buttons from her. Ken's staying too far away. I can't press those things, so what can I do, right? Every time I walk forward, he backs up, so what can I do, right? So, yep. So I get caught there trying to press, right? And then there's the block on the low, and then I think you go into a button here, and you get counter hit, right?
Yeah. I go into... Because I think I'm -1 after that interaction. Or plus... Yeah, I'm -1 after that interaction.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can go for something here, but since, the slide, like, I'm aware that the slide is minus, right? So I try to jab you here, basically, right? So I'm jab check after the -1 situation, right? So, it's difficult to deal with that because you're the one that's minus, right? So if I jab there, I'm not quite sure how you would beat that with Kim in particular, right? Because I'm +1 here, right? So you can't throw me because it'll get checked. You can't press a bigger button because it'll get stuffed, right? That's what happens here. You go for a medium and it gets stuffed.
I need to just defend.
I think so. On a -1 situation like that, if the opponent is jabbing, you have to come up with some solution to deal with that, right?
I think I'm just hoping that people don't realize that they're
they're actually plus after that.
I'm doing the you're only minus if you're a bitch mentality.
Yeah, and that'll work a lot of the time, actually, right? And people don't always react, or they react with like a big button, right? Like, oh, the slide is -1,000,000, right? I can press my 8-framer. And then you press...
It is if it's not drive rushed.
Yeah, it wasn't... There's no plus frames, right? Like, it can't be that good. And then they're only -1. Or, sorry, you're only -1. They press an 8-frame, you place a 6-frame, and you win, right? Like, that that probably happens more often than not. But unfortunately, I jab you here. So I do think that after slide is blocked, your turn is over. So I would just delay tech here, potentially, right? Because if I jab you, at least I would go into a string of some kind, probably. And then, you'd be able to defend that. Or if I go for like a throw or something here, you'd be able to defend that too, right? So, unfortunately, Ken's crouching light punch is absurd, right? So it sends you to the corner for that, right? So then you get hit by the overhead setup here. So I'm sure you've seen this setup before. You do have to kind of defend this and react to what Ken is doing here. Because Ken, from this situation, can go into overhead. He can run stop into a low. He can also throw you because he's +5, right? So it's a tough situation to deal with. And unfortunately, you just have to kind of react to it, right? The one good thing is that I think the overhead comes out a little bit later. So you just have to watch for Ken doing that action, like right here. So the jab, right? So you see the swift jab, see the run, and then it's going to be a high-low mix, right? High-low throw. High-low strike throw mix, right? So... But you can see that from here, right, you do have a couple of frames to react, or a little bit of time to react to the overhead here. Right, so you can just stand block, right?
I think I eventually react to this in
I think you do, at some point. Or you derev it, I think, or something. But it is a very common mix-up from Ken after run Tatsu, so just have to be ready for it. Safe jump here. Defended. Defended well. Delay tech is good, I
delay
think.
tech to that one, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the high-low delay tech option, right? Fuzzy guard there is good. And it looks like that's what you basically did, right? Block high, block low, delay tech, right? So good defense. So something here is that Ken is -5 after that, after this low Jinrai, right? And this is actually pretty bad for Ken in this situation because Ken is point blank here, right? So from this situation, if you see the Jinrai coming in, right, and it's a medium Jinrai, you could reversal right here, and it'll beat anything Ken does follow-up wise, right? So if you did a level 1 here, it is kind of early, but you could have reversaled there. You could have derevved here. It should beat any of the options that Ken does from here, right? If it's overhead, if it's low, if it's nothing, all those options, like at least reversals anyway, should beat it. I'm not sure about derev because the number of frames is kind of a lot, so and you'd have to derev kind of early here. But it is an option you can do. But if Ken does the low here, remember he's -5. So if Kim has a 5-frame punish from this situation, you should probably go for it here, right?
Yeah, I would have to...
I'm gonna have to lab that out. I wish I knew, but that's something you'll have to see, right? If you take a Ken point blank and do the Jinrai, the medium Jinrai into low, he's -5. So you'd have to figure out if there's an option you have to.
Crouching medium at least probably puts you on the defense if you...
Yeah, if you could hit me from here, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be a huge reward because it's a 5-frame punish, but
Right.
if it's anything that will give you
I don't
space
think I
back.
get a punish counter, but I think I at least, yeah.
Yeah, or you
take
can,
it.
you steal the turn, right? Or not steal, but take the turn back, right? You're -5. I'm -5 rather. Ken's -5. You can press a bigger button here, and I'd have to block it, right? So you'd be able to at least take your turn back and do something, right? Unfortunately, I go for this fake crouching medium kick, right? Because I'm -5 here, but you don't press anything, so I just go for it here.
Do, but I just press late. I press medium heavy punch is something that I've been trying to use more, and it is just the wrong option at this distance.
Let's see. Crouching medium punch for Kim would probably go about here, right?
Probably a little bit shorter.
Yeah. So if you had pressed it though, you would have counter hit me, right?
I press it. It's the same situation as the previous game. I press it after you've already started here.
Yeah, but the difference here is that I'm -5.
Right.
So if you pressed it here, potentially.
I think I whiff.
Let's see. Oh, you block.
I
Okay.
blocked that.
Well, yeah.
And then I follow up on the drive rush. Okay.
Yeah.
I tried to check the drive rush. Is what it was.
Oh, that's tough. From that distance, that's a tough check.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway, so I delay, do this, I continue my pressure here, and yeah, you try to check. Again, I think you get hit by the same situation where you're trying to check in between, and there's not enough gap for this button to come out. So again, one of the things that people do against drive rushes on block, like you block the crouching medium kick drive rush, is you'd buffer a reversal in here. Right. So I think you could probably derev from this situation. So let's see. So from here, oh, what happened there? Okay, hold up. Right, something like that.
So I can, okay.
Yeah. On the block drive rush, right? So that you can do something like that if you're trying to stop the pressure, because checking the drive rush in that situation is very difficult, right? There's not enough time for you to do anything other than that, or I'm not sure what's her level 1 super. Is it quarter circle back?
Quarter circle forward kick.
Okay. Well, I don't know if I can do it.
It's hard for me to buffer that quickly.
Yeah. Right. So that is an option you can do, right? As soon as you see the green flash and you block it, you can start buffering. That is an option. Difficult, or it can be, because you have to do quarter circle forwards instead of back. So that means that you're not really blocking in between the buffers. But if you really want to stop that drive rush pressure, that is an option for you to take, right? I do think the D-Rev is safer though, because it's pretty rare for
doing D-Rev stuff.
yeah. I mean, it'll work, right? It'll work, and then in that situation, right, it's not terrible to input, and you get your space back, right? So something to consider. All right. So what ends up happening is you get hit. Right, and then let's see what happens here. So I go for like a bit of a setup here, and then you reversal.
Now is when I reversal.
That's when you reversaled, right?
I just guessed wrong.
Yeah, unfortunately, but at least you made a decision, right? So that is something that I think people need to do eventually, right? And you had to make the decision because you're running low on life, right? So if you look at the situation here, you have half health, but you get hit, right? I do, 3,000 damage combo, more or less, right? So you're one interaction away from dying, right? And then I give you a look that looks like I'm going to do another meaty option, right? And then the neutral jump happens, right? But you made a decision here, right? You see the reversal timing and all that, and it did that, so that was fine. It just didn't work out that time, right? Unfortunately.
To be able to drive rush to catch it.
Yeah, that is.
I've
and
at least escaped the corner sometimes doing that. But...
Yeah, it'll work most if you had more life, or if I was like didn't have enough drive to do that drive rush, you'd at least get out of the corner. And other characters, like against a Geef or something, you may not even have, may even be free, right? You'd be able to get out. Unfortunately, Ken's drive rush is absurd, and Heavy Punch is also absurd, and it covers like half the screen, so it was able to catch you, right? The other thing I'll mention too is that even though you were kind of low on life there, it's very difficult to reversal there because people will be expecting you to reversal, right? So they'll try to bait it. So if you are going to reversal, again, if you had reversal the previous interaction or the interaction before that, maybe. But it's like that mind game though, right? Like, oh, I'm one interaction away from dying. I'm going to reversal, or am I, right? Or am I not going to reversal? And then you have to kind of gauge what your opponent's going to try to do, right? So if you had done nothing and I neutral jump there, you're able to anti-air me with that upward elbow thing she does, and then you get a left-right mix-up, right? And you're able to mess with me there from that point. Or you put me in the corner, right? Like you'd be able to...
The left-right mix-up if I can figure out how to run stop.
Yeah. I mean, ideally you'd be able to do that. Or, again, you would just hit me, right? Anti-air me, and then switch sides or whatever else, right? But at least you wouldn't be dead at that point, right? So, yeah, it's tough to make the right decision there because it is your guess, right? You do have to kind of guess what's happening there. But what I will say is the important thing is that you made a decision and just went with it, right? Like you didn't hesitate at that point to reversal. You said, okay, at the next interaction I got knocked down. At this interaction I'm going to reversal, and you do it, right? That's better than doing nothing and losing eventually because you just don't do anything at all, right? So again, kind of maintaining the spacing in between to make it uncomfortable for you. Again, so you would just walk forward, I think, from this situation, right? And I think that'll be the correct counter
I need
to
to get better at... I think the biggest thing that I get like really nervous about is I know that my buttons aren't as long as other people's, and I get my toes cooked so often by crouching medium kicks from other people, so it's just getting that comfortability in taking the space.
Yeah.
Or finding ways to take the space still.
Yeah, it's really more art than science. At least that's how I describe footsies, right? It's really more like how well you can read the other player.
I'm better at science than art, though. So.
Yeah, and it's because I wish there was like a formula you could apply to footsies that says, oh, if they're doing that, do this, and it will work all the time. The unfortunate answer is it doesn't always happen that way, right? There is specific counters to specific things people are doing, but the opponent can change what they're doing at any time, right? So we can talk more about how footsies would work or ground neutral would work in that situation, but what I'm doing to you here is forcing you to use Kim's tools, right? Because you're uncomfortable getting closer because I've probably already clipped you with a crouching medium kick once or twice, right? So again, that's like what I'm doing here is a response to what you've been doing, right? Like if you look at our first game, I was not playing at the space at all, right? We were actually playing closer to your crouching or standing medium kick range, right? And that's when I lost, right? It was actually when you hit me with that a couple of times, got the drive rush combo off, right? Put me in the corner and forced me to guess, right? That's how I lost. So the adjustment I made was to force you to try to play with Kim's neutral tools, or force you to come to me, right? Like, I'm not really forcing anything right here, right? So again, that's just an adjustment that I made to beat you, and it's something you'll have to consider as you rank up more and more. Like, higher level players will adapt quickly, right? Like, probably within the first game, right? Or first 2 interactions, right? So you have to be ready for their adaptation to what you're doing, and be ready to adapt to whatever they're doing, right? So in this case, what you could have started doing is just walking forward into the range, take up the space I'm giving you, because I'm not throwing fireballs either, right? Like, if you look,
Right, yeah.
right, I'm not really throwing fireballs either, right? So I'm kind of waiting for you to do something, and then I'm going to try to react to it, right? So if you had just walked forward, take up the space, that would elicit some kind of response from me, and then from there you would try to counter whatever that is, right? Maybe I start throwing fireballs, in which case you can get around the fireball, right? Like slide, I think, right? You can slide under it, or teleport, or whatever. Or maybe I start pressing buttons, right? In which case you can use Kim's buttons to try to whiff punish, right? Even though Kim's buttons aren't as long, they don't have to be if I'm pressing buttons as you're coming in, right? You can try to do the whiff punish stuff, right? So things can happen from there. But if I'm forcing you to play in a situation where I think I'm going to beat you, you may end up losing at long term, right? Because if you're not adapting to that, then whatever counter I'm applying is just going to continue working, right? So nice parry. Good back throw. Unfortunately, get checked.
Yeah, I was too close to hit that.
Yeah, I think
Not a
if you
true
had,
Oki.
yeah, if you had gone for the, what is it that everyone
I
goes
think
for?
if I did the run stop overhead, it would have worked.
Maybe, or it's the
Or run overhead.
whatchamacallit, the driver's low, right? The crouching medium kick.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's that would hit meaty, I think, right? Like, I see a lot of Kim's do it. Kim's do it to me all the time, right? Like, back throw, drive rush into the low, or the standing medium kick, and then go into a low from there, something like that, right? I think that's the sequence. Let me see, because your stand medium kick would be +4 on block. Oh, sorry, -4 on block. So with drive rush, that would be 0. Maybe it's the crouching medium kick, huh?
Crouching medium kick is pretty good.
Yeah, so if you did a drive rush
Like
crouching,
for a little bit of range.
yeah, if you did a drive rush crouching medium kick there, right? You would put me in a situation where I'm -5, right? Right. So you would put me in a -5 situation, and then you can and then you would have, advantage to do whatever you want, right? You can do walk up throw, you can go into more light pressure, whatever, but you'd be +5 at least, right? So that's a situation you can consider forcing me into, right? Because throughout the match that we played, you haven't really put me in sort of guess situations, right? Like, I've been able to kind of just jab out of a lot of the pressure you're trying to apply, right? So instead, if you had put me in a +5 situation, right, or sorry, -5 situation where you can frame trap me or do something else, that would force me to start blocking more on your drive rush pressure, and then from there you can start doing like these overheads and throws because I'm afraid to press the button, right? If that makes sense. So
Well, the overhead is meaty if it's from a different setup. So
okay,
I just tried to see if it was from this or not.
okay, fair enough.
It was an experiment.
Yeah, fair enough. And now we know, I guess, right? So from the forward throw, not so much, huh? And I went for the jab because I wasn't sure either.
I knew the forward throw it wasn't, but I wasn't sure on the back throw.
So at any rate, yeah, get jabbed and then thrown. Missed my drive rush.
Yep.
And then I got baited into a DP again. So again, nice usage of the elbow drop there, right? I should have adapted to use the medium DP from that range that I was keeping you at, but my reactions beat me there, right? I had reacted with the DP and it was the wrong DP, right? So, all right. So from here, I think you have an opportunity for a safe jump, right?
Yep.
Yeah. That's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. I think you have to walk
I
up.
should know better. I know better. Yeah.
That's unfortunate, but it would have worked, right? The alternative is you don't press the button, right? So you just
I've caught you with that a couple times tonight, just
hmm
not pressing the button.
yeah, just
I've liked that option a lot more because I think people understand that it's a safe jump.
hmm
So a lot of people try to go for like the perfect parry to that.
yeah. Because if I perfect parry or safe jump, most of the time I'm actually like the defender is actually going to be plus after that,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if I get like that's a huge reward for me because even though you can still delay tech and get out of it, at least I defended your safe jump, right? And now I can reset back to
Mm-hmm.
neutral potentially, and I'm plus, so I get to do that to you. So if you see, and you hit the nail on the head, right? I parried and I lost to the safe jump throw a couple of times already, right? So he could have went for the throw here,
Mm-hmm.
into jump throw, or walked forward from here,
Yeah.
right? Did that, just walk forward and throw, could have been a thing. Potentially also from here you could shimmy me, right? So if you just back up instead from the frame data, right? So
Mm-hmm.
since I block or parry, right? There's a
Immediately go
huge
through.
advantage here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you could have went for like a throw. I mean, I still could have teched, right? You had to delay your throw a little bit because of the block stun or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
you could have done that, or you could have shimmied, right? Because if I delay teched instead, you'd get a shimmy, you get a full punish, right? So that right here, right? Good answer here. To the hop, counter hits me because I'm pressing, right? And then here, what do you do, right? Try to throw potentially.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. And so I'm sure Kim has a setup from there that you can take advantage of.
Yeah,
Whatever that
she
happens to be.
probably does.
Yeah. So if you are going to go for some sort of manually timed setup here, that's totally fine too. I do that all the time. Keeps people on their toes. I would say that you could consider doing some sort of actual meaty option, right? So go for the throw, like a meaty throw here would have beaten this wake up jab, right? Or delay
Mm-hmm.
jab from me. So, right. So
I
one
was
thing
trying to go for the throw. I just did it too late.
yeah, it looks like you were trying to input it, right? So right there. Oh, I actually immediately jabbed. Ah, okay. So yeah, you're a little late on the throw. So that would have worked if you were a little early, or if you had timed that better. It would have caught me. It would have counter hit me with a
Or
throw.
maybe I think I was thinking you're gonna reversal that because I was just walking at you.
Oh, okay.
Like that's what I was doing.
Okay. So if this was like a
I
delay
don't know
tech,
why the throw was there. Then yeah,
yeah. If this was like a
maybe
delay
this
tech
was
on
me
offense,
adapting to yeah.
say again. Sorry.
I think that was me trying to adapt to you
Okay.
throwing me so much.
Okay. Like going for like a throw. Okay. And that's fine. I think if you thought I was going to go for some reversal in that situation, probably would have been fine. But in this situation here, we probably could have went for meaty pressure, right?
Yeah.
And a big reason for that is because of this life total here, right? So I'm up around,
True. Huh?
right? I don't think I would have level 3'd, although some Kens would level 3 from here. But if you consider what happens, right? So even if you lost to reversal in this situation, Ken does a level 3. Worst case scenario, right? Goes for level 3.
Mm-hmm.
You're wrong, right? You get beat by it. You lose 4,000 health and we reset back to neutral, right? So you'll still be alive, right? You lose a couple of bars of OD bar, right? So you'll be at 4 bars of drive versus 6, right? But you still have super. You still be alive, and Ken can't really well, he can, but it's difficult for him to pressure you from that situation, right? He has to drive rush or something else, right? Even better. Let's say he ODDPs you here, you take the damage that comes out of the ODDP, but Ken is now down 2 bars, and he can't do Oki. There's no Oki's set up anymore from Ken's ODDP, right? They nerfed it in the latest patch, so he reversals, right? He's out of the corner, but you're back to neutral. You take some damage, but so what, right? You have plenty of life to deal with, right? So it's something to consider here is if you can take the reversal, like you may want to gamble on your Oki because the reward for you on the offensive side is so huge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if I'm right and I reversal out of this, right? You take, what is it? 1,400 damage or whatever Ken's ODDP is. I think it's kind of a lot, right? You take for an OD move. But you take that damage, right? Whatever. But if you're right, you could kill me from here, right? So there you can cash out level 2, and you could probably kill me from this situation, or at least put me very close, right? You can do a lot of damage from one wrong thing for me. Like if you block this reversal, or if like you do an Oki setup that hits, right? Like I guess wrong, then you can, with your meaty pressure here, right? I guess wrong, you can potentially kill me, right? So the reward is so huge to do that, right? So, something to work through, I think, right? Get through, learn more of these setups so that you force Ken to make a decision because everything's real, right? You have to decide when to reversal, when to do something else, right? So, right. So here, what's interesting is you got hit after block, right? So, against Jinrai, if you block this first hit here, you want to block low then high if you're gonna do that fuzzy guard, right? Because the low, if you look at the frame data, the low comes out before the overhead would come out, right? And since Ken can't do both at the same time and they don't hit at the same time, that means you would be able to fuzzy guard that, right? So if you block low for however long it, for I think it's like, however many frames before it comes out, like when it would hit, you block low and then you block high, that would fuzzy guard the overhead as well, right? And it'll allow you to back up if Ken does nothing. But if you try to block the overhead right away, you're going to get hit by the low, right? Because Kens go for that all the time. They go for the low. So just something to consider when you're defending Jinrai. Oh. So there's the text, right?
When I'm starting to get, beat up on techos.
Yeah. So something I'll mention here is that you probably should have went to level 3 from there.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking with that, to be honest.
It's fine, right? I mean, it's something that I think players don't consider all the time, is that if you look at the game situation here, right? So you didn't have quite have level 3.
I didn't have it, yeah.
Yeah. But you
I've
probably
definitely gone to level 3 off of that string before.
After the elbow thing, yeah. Right. You'd also build it, right? Like if you saw this, and this is a game sense thing, I think, but knowing how much meter you're gonna build and if you can go into super from your string that you're gonna do, like a combo, is important too, right? Because think about the situation, right? You go to that, it builds, and you could also just buffer the level 3 here, honestly, right? If you weren't sure, just buffer it, and if you get it, it'll come out, and if not, nothing, right? Like it doesn't hurt to do that.
Yeah. I need option selects have still like eluded me in buffering for stuff like that. So
yeah, something to build on, if you will, right? Because the more of that stuff you autopilot and flowchart, the more your conscious brain is available to like decipher what is happening in offense and defense and Oki, right? Like you're able to do more problem solving because your brain isn't as taxed, if you will, right? You can only do so much. You can only think about so much. So the less you have to think about, the more you can kind of automatically do, the better, right? And that's why option selects are so good, right? So yeah, you could have just buffered, like, right here. Oh, I land a hit. I'm not sure. I'm just gonna try it anyway and see what happens, right? I mean, that's an option. So. And because the situation meter wise and everything else, right? Like I don't know how much health I'm gonna lose off the level 3. That might kill me. I'm not sure, but it'll put me pretty close, right? I'll lose 2 bars. I'll be like here, right? And spending there makes sense. Yeah, especially for Kim because she gets the buff after that, right? So, and you have some life to work with here. You have plenty of bar, right? So you'd be in a huge advantage state from there, right? Because if you don't use a level 3 here, like Ken can kill you from here, right? Or at least be pretty close for the cash out. So if you die with level 3 in round 2, then it's like, you should spend it, at least spending it here, at least you don't die with it, right? Because that's representing a ton of damage and resource you didn't use, right? So. All right. Okay, counter hit confirmed from me. What happened there? So you go for the run.
Tried to standing heavy.
Oh, stand heavy punch, huh? Okay.
That's my go-to button in neutral right now. So.
Yeah, and that's totally fine, I think, to do that. It's just that the space here made that very difficult to use, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because Kim's stand heavy punch is very good, but it's still like a what, 9? Okay, 9 frames, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at this space, right, it can be kind of tough to press bigger buttons, right? Because
Right.
if I press anything smaller, faster, it's going to stuff it. And that's exactly what happens, right? And I'm not even really trying to preempt you. Well, I am actually. I'm not really whiff punishing or reacting to anything. I'm just pressing because you're close to me, right? Like, like you were point blank. Like, I don't want you to be here, but I also can't press any Ken's bigger buttons because if you press a smaller button or a faster button, it's gonna stuff what I'm doing, right? So I press a jab. Actually, I press a jab to try to create some space, right? But at the same time, as as you get better at the game, you kind of recognize situations where you could potentially land a counter hit, and you have to be ready for the conversion, right? And that's what happens here. Right. I actually counter hit confirmed this into well, it should be counter hit confirmed. It looks like you might have been backing up or something, but it should have been a counter hit confirm into a crouching medium kick, basically. I actually miss it by a frame, I think. Let's see. There's a counter hit. Oh no, I comboed. Okay, so I did get it there, right? But that is something I think you're going to learn more of, especially with Kim, who lands a lot of these counter hits because she's pressing buttons in situations where it's real, or even the fake string. Sometimes people press the wrong buttons against that. Is that a lot of Kim, like Kim has a lot of counter hits, like generates a lot of counter hits, if you will, right? So being ready to counter hit confirm on some of those, because you did land some hits on me, like counter hits, but there are times where it leads you to a throw or something else when you could have gotten bigger damage, I think, right? So it's a game sense you'll develop, right? It's like, oh, I have a potential for counter hit here. I should be ready in the event I see the counter hit, right? And if not, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen, but you should be ready for the event it is, right? I think I just go into a Jin right here. Yep, nothing fancy. And then I do what I've been doing all game, which is drive rush and force you to make a decision, right? And then I happen to throw rock when you decide to throw scissors, right? So, and then here's the reversal, right? Oh, never mind.
Nope, I just die.
Let's see. Oh, okay. Walk up throw.
Thrown.
Yeah. So that's very difficult to defend though, because that's like the built-in mix-up that Ken is doing, in that situation, right? It's just like he's -7, but somehow you still have to guess, right? That's just Ken in a nutshell. But okay, so if you look at the last two games, where I think I was kind of beating you was in two spots, and I think you hit the nail on the head. One was in neutral. I was playing at a space that made you uncomfortable, right? And because you're uncomfortable, you decided to have to neutral skip or do other things to try to get in. And the counter to that really is to be more comfortable in footsies, right? Or, sorry, in grounded neutral. I don't want to call it footsies necessarily, but in grounded neutral like that, be more comfortable, right? That really means walking forward, getting a sense of ranges and spacing and that type of thing. And that's just some of it's lab work, right? Like you said, getting familiar with Kim's spacing and ranges and the buttons that you want to be pressing, which I think for Kim are like the stand heavy punch, stand medium kick, right? Those buttons that lead into drive rush, right? Or whiff punish with. Also drive rush low, right? Drive rush crouching medium kick is really strong, right? I see a lot of Kims use that as well. And then was it drive rush crouching medium punch, I think is the other one, right? Like that leaves you some level of plus if I'm not mistaken.
It probably does. I think crouching light punch is the other driver's one.
Okay. Yeah, both of those would leave you +3 on block from drive rush. So you'd have some plus frames and you'd be in my face, so you can force a mix up from there. But yeah, so that's really how I was kind of playing against you in particular. I was forcing you at a range to make you use Kim's neutral tools, and I try to check it, right? So again, the reaction from you should be to walk forward into that space and take it up, right? Because with Kim, once you have me in the corner, it's really mix-up city, right? Like I have to guess, I have to deal with constant Kim pressure, DIs, and that type of thing. Fake or real, like all the pressure there that's coming in. That's where Kim makes her money, right? Is in that corner. So if I'm giving you space and putting myself closer to the corner, you should 100% take it, right? That's one thing. The other thing was on defense. I think once I put you in tougher situations to like you have to make a decision, that's when it kind of went a little tough, got a little tough for you to deal with. That part's a little harder for me to describe how to defend. Some of it is like reads, right? So having an idea of what the Ken is doing to you on drive rush, right? And there are some options you can do to try to stop what Ken is doing there, right? I think parry is not a bad option if the Ken has been doing a lot of drive rush button. I do think delay tech is also not a bad option if they've been doing, again, a lot of drive rush button or drive rush throw, right? They could delay tech there too. Something else that some players do is they'll reversal, right? So as soon as they see the Ken do the forward throw and then drive rush, you can reversal there, right? If the Ken doesn't do some sort of bait option, you're going to lose the reversal too, right? So like you can derev there, or you, like wake up derev, right? Or you can do like a level 1 or level 3, right? So you have those options also, right? The tough part about defense in this game is that you do have to rotate the options that you are choosing on defense. Like sometimes most of the time you block, sometimes you delay tech, sometimes you wake up jab, sometimes you just jump, right? Like try to jump over me in the corner, right? If I'm going for throws. Sometimes you just have to make a decision on defensively based on what you're feeling the Ken player is doing or opponent is doing, and then just commit to it, right? And I think you actually did a very good job of that, right? You were committing to your defensive option most of the time, other than the fact that you don't reversal all that much, right? Because and it does feel like I say this a lot, like you should reversal more. Like I say this to people, you should be reversaling more. Don't not do it. It's just you have to try to pick situations where they maybe aren't expecting it, right? Like when you're in the last interaction, you're gonna die. That's usually when people start delay teching and reversaling, right? So sometime before that, you want to go for that. Or if you see like a setup that you know or have seen before that you know is gonna land in some sort of meaty strike throw option, you could reversal in those situations too, right? Because a lot of times when people knock you down, they'll autopilot into their setup, right? And when that happens, they don't always consider, oh, they're going to reversal. They just autopilot into a meaty, and then you can blow them up for that, right? So,
right, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, so that's like the two main things I was seeing really was just those. I'll mention also that in neutral, like something you were doing a good amount was, and I don't think we saw it in these two games because I adjusted, but what was happening is that you would block one or two buttons or some sort of string, and then you would wait a split second, and then you would back up, right? And that's how you're getting tagged. So in those situations, right, where you are just blocking, you consider continuing to block and just stand there, right? Stand your ground a little bit, right? Be willing to wait for the opponent to try to press a button into drive rush or back up potentially, right? And this happens a lot. Like I do this to a lot of players, that they, as they're coming up through, high diamond into master, is that they're backing up after pressure, right? When they block pressure, they'll back up. And I think that a lot of the time you're not getting punished for that, right? At least at lower levels, again, through like plat and diamond, you're not getting punished for that walk back, right? But higher level players will notice that tendency and punish you for it, right? They'll walk up, they'll press some buttons, block, wait a split second, and then tag you with crouch medium kick as you're trying to back up under pressure, right? So, again, you just have to kind of stand your ground a little bit and be willing to press buttons, because a lot of times in this game, after a block string, the offensive player is now minus now, right? Like they're no longer offensive player, so it's technically the defensive player's turn at that point, right? And the reason it just works. One of the
things that I've been like climbing up a little bit more recently is being able to throw out the like crouching jabs to be able to like actually take turns or catch them trying to continue pressure where they can't.
Yeah, a lot of the time after a block string of some kind, it is your turn, and a lot of players will take advantage of your passiveness and then try to steal the turn, if you will, right? And I do that to you here a good amount, where I'll go for like a set of lights, because I had been throwing you basically, right? I'd do a light and a throw you. So I do a set of lights, and then I would do a crouching medium kick, which actually is an 8-frame gap now, right? Because I'm -1, crouching medium kick 7 frames, so there's an 8-frame gap where you could do something. But because you've become passive after all the throws, I get away with that button, right? Into like some sort of generator pressure, or I delay it a second, or not a second, but delay it a bit, and then hit you as you're trying to back up, right? So,
yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, be willing to stand your ground, right? Especially after light strings, right? they're not, you have your turn back, and usually they're you can press kind of a bigger button like your crouching medium punch or stand medium kick, right? Because they're minus, it's pretty unlikely they'll continue with a 4-framer after that, right? So you can usually take a turn back with that kind of button, right? That kind of action, if you will, right? Like with a 5 or 6 frame button, right? From there, because another jab won't reach, right? If I do 3 lights, like a 4th jab or stand like kick won't reach you anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Right? So you have to press something that will reach, and that's usually like a medium button, right? And I can't press there, right? As the offensive player whose turn just ended, I can't press there, right? Because I'm gonna get counter hit if I do. So that allows you to hit me, or at least block, put me into a block, make me block, if you will, push you back a little bit, get some space back, and then you can continue playing neutral, right? So, so yeah. Let's see. Check time. Cool. So, any other questions or things you want to look at?
No, I think that's a lot for me to kind of digest.
It's a good amount, right? It's a good amount.
Yeah.
So, do you have time for another first of 3?
Sure.
All right. Yeah, a lot of players, as they rank up, they haven't been punished for walking back after that pressure situation, right? So, I say this a lot, is that a lot of these habits that you have form either because they haven't been punished or they're working, right?
Right.
So,
yeah. Why I know I'm definitely at the point where I'm needing to expand my game plan a little bit, and I've been rewarded for doing so recently. So now I need to start adding more layers.
Yeah, I mean, as you build your offensive game plan, if you will, you have to be able to adapt and like move the flow chart, if you will, to something else, and that's just part of the growing into the game, right? Like figuring out how that's gonna work. So yeah, I'll leave the mics hot so you can hear us talk through it. But yeah, just consider, like, if I'm putting you in an uncomfortable range, just try to take up the space, right? And then see how I react to that, and then see if you're able to come up with a way to stop it, right?
Did you wait in game 1 just to see how I would open up offense, or were you like
Yes.
checking stuff?
The game 1 is always that with these. I don't tell people that, but a game 1 is 100% me trying to figure out how you play the game, yeah. Oh, that's unfortunate.
I'm taking advantage of my East Coast.
The rollback is fine. What are you talking about? I'm just kidding. Oh, nice. Ooh.
Man.
Uh-oh.
That is not what I wanted.
Nice.
Oh, I should have a combo for that.
Uh-oh. That's a safe jump that
just
goes...
fell asleep at the wheel.
How'd I miss?
I again just fell asleep at the wheel. I took my hands off my controller.
I did too. That's what's it. But yeah, that
Yeah, I figured that was it. I was waiting for my cinematic.
yeah, I know. That one, that safe jump, you do have to defend high. If you back tech, you just have to watch what side Ken's on and just block high. Nice.
Yeah, I'm just too far away.
Yeah, if I'm not pressing there, it's difficult, right? Nice. Oh, nice. Oh, that's a kill thing. Uh-oh. Oh! Oh, that's
Oh,
unfortunate.
I need to get better with my technique. Oh,
Oh, that's
oh, I have to
unfortunate.
remember I'm only +1
Yeah,
there.
+1, so you, or -1, so.
No, I'm +1 on the if I hit now.
Oh, that was on hit, wasn't it? Yeah, yeah. So
Mhm.
you have to jab. Yeah,
I just don't
four
know
frame.
the timing for that very well.
Oh, oh shit. Nice. Ah! Finally
Yeah.
adapted with a heavy dragon punch.
I did it too close. Oh, that was the wrong
Oh no.
button.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
That was that was the burnout I think that got you there, but I
No,
will
there's a lot
say
of
that
stuff.
the adjustments you were making in game here, where you were kind of taking up space, and then you made a couple of defensive decisions
Hmm.
when you were trying to block things, and then your Oki was a little bit better this round too. Like you were a little more willing to go for media
Yep.
options. It was a lot better. Right? I think the result, obviously may not have gone the way you wanted, but you can see how the adjustments you made forced me, the Ken player, to play slightly differently. Right? I
Hmm.
was trying to create space. You wouldn't let me do that. So I had to start walking into your range and press buttons, and there were situations where I whiffed the button because you back up and you're able to tag me, right? So that's how you
Yeah.
generate those opportunities, if you will, right?
Yep.
So yeah, no, great job. I think that you did a good job adapting to the game plan that I was trying to run against you, right? And then it worked out pretty well, right? I mean, obviously you didn't win
Well.
overall, but the situations where you were losing in the last game kind of got solved, if you will, right? Like you weren't losing because of those things before, right? You were losing more because of like some of the neutral situations where now I was trying to get into your space. You weren't as comfortable there, not able to adjust to that. But that was a different problem, right? And we can look at that later. But yeah, I mean that was a good way. I think that was like the game plan you had going into that was better overall. Like I had to play. I couldn't just play passive over the whole time, right? I had to actually
Mhm.
interact with you in neutral and try to beat you in neutral and beat you in Oki situations, right? Because you saw I had to reversal a lot more, right? I had to actually
Yep.
make defensive
Yep.
decisions against what you were doing, and if you had blocked any one of those, I would have died, right, or at least taken a huge damage from that. So good job.
Mhm.
Cool. So any other questions or things you want to bring up before we wrap up?
I don't think so. I've got a lot to process.
Yeah, the
Figure
VOD
out
will
good
be up
with.
after this, and I'll upload it to YouTube at some point, probably tomorrow morning or something like that. So you'll be able to watch through and look through everything we
Sweet.
talked about
Good.
again.
I normally try to take notes. I'm like, Chelsea, Chelsea has YouTube stuff. I'll be able to find it
Yeah, yeah,
again.
just watch it again. It'll be fine. Watch it at 2x speed. That way you don't have to waste an hour and a half of your time going through it. Um, so I'll just wrap up then. If you had nothing else, cool. So thanks for watching, everybody. Let's just sit down and shut up with Juzzy. I'm Juzzy. We do live coaching sessions, replay review, and all that good stuff. If you're interested in something like this, take a look down. There's links to the Fight Rise Discord, Fight Rise community. So this is where I run this stuff out of. They are a fighting game community that focuses mostly on Street Fighter 6. They run bi-weekly tournaments, round robins on Tuesdays, which are starting back up next week. So feel free to join those. Sign up to Discord and join those. They have rank separated pools, right? So if you're in Master, you get to play with other Masters. If you're not quite in Master yet or lower level, they have pools available for you guys to play in. They also do community events showcasing folks from the community through their Urge to Fight series. So tune into those. I'm sure we'll see one coming up pretty soon here in the quarter. If you're interested in a trading session, on the Discord under training questions, when you join the Discord, take a look. There's a training questions channel, and there'll be a thread called "Sit Down and Shut Up with Juzzy." You can drop your information there, and you'll be able to sign up for a session like this, and we can get you scheduled for that. I'm also part of a Discord or group called the Newbie Fight Club. They run lobby nights every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Sometimes they're themed, like on Mondays they do modern, for folks that want to play modern. So the information should be below for there as well. So feel free to join that community if you want to get sets with me or anyone else in the great community that we have. So otherwise, that's kind of it. Thanks to all for tuning in, and have a good night.